fresh off covering another historic election. Tom Brokaw is here to add his unique perspective. We should mention he's also celebrating a milestone. 50 years here at NBC, and Tom plans to donate all his papers and memorabilia to the library at the University of Iowa. That is a cool thing. Tom, good morning. Nice to see you.
Especially given the fact that I spent 1 year there and I had a double major, beer and co-eds. But they never...
Yeah, but we digress.
But they didn't let go of me, and it was their idea, and I'm terribly flattered.
All right, let's save that. I want to get to that for a second. I want to talk to you about what's happening at the White House today. We've just been through a lot as a nation with this election, and yet I think, shouldn't we all take comfort in what's going to happen at the White House today?
It is part of the majesty of the American system, is that a loser, in effect, Barack Obama is a loser because his candidate didn't win. He's going out of office, but he is welcoming in a gracious way the unexpected winner, Donald Trump, who has an agenda completely different than this president's. And they'll work out a way that they can have a transition that is peaceful, and we hope that it'll be very efficient for the country.
You were watching, I know, the speech that Hillary Clinton gave yesterday, and in addition to watching her and listening to what she was saying, I was looking at that room, and it looked like a political wake. And in some ways, it just showed the disappointment of about half the people in this country, particularly when it comes to the attempt to elect a woman as president of the United States.
Well, I actually think in the end, the gender piece of it was not as important as the other issues. The country was saying, we want big change, and they didn't see her as an agent of change. We want Washington to get it. We're not happy with what's going on out here. And a lot of those people are stuck or losing ground. They're the working class in the middle part of America. But yesterday, when I saw those young people weeping, and I thought to myself, I hope they stay in the hunt. I hope that they say that political and public service is very important to me. We went through this a lot in 1968 when Richard Nixon beat Hubert Humphrey, and a lot of people were giving up on the system. But they've got to stay in it if you're going to change it. And Donald Trump stayed the course. I mean, he ran a campaign that no one thought could be successful, but he saw his way through it.
Yeah, and it's interesting, after 50 years in the business, you can still be surprised, can't you?
I can be surprised every time. People were tired of hearing me saying this, but my mantra during a campaign is always the UFO theory. The unforeseen is going to occur, and it occurred, and it occurred, and then on Election Day, it was the unforeseen occurring by a magnitude of 10,000, quite honestly.
Let's get to this great honor, I think. You're donating your memorabilia and papers to the library at the University of Iowa. First of all, why? Why did you decide to do that?
Well, it was their idea. They came to me, and I was kind of reluctant. I thought, do I have enough important stuff? And then they were persistent. They got a wonderful world-class library. They're all digitalized, connected to the Library of Congress. Then I started going through my material, and my God, I was absolutely astonished by how much I had and how important it was.
Can we talk about some of the things? And actually, as I walked over to say hi to you this morning, I walked right past this picture here, which is you and Nancy Reagan. Do you know what year that was?
It was about 3 years into their, so it was about 1980, no, about 1981 or 82.
Tell me about the photo.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. We'd had a spat. I had said some things about the president that she really didn't like, and I had known them from California days covering them. So the word came back, don't go near Nancy. You don't even want to get around her for about 3 months. Then they called me and said, you're going to be invited to a state dinner. You have to figure out what you're going to say to her in the receiving line. Don't worry about the president. He doesn't care about this stuff. So all the way up to her, Meredith kept saying, well, have you figured it out yet? I haven't figured it out. So I got right to her, and she looked at me with that kind of steely look that she had, and I said to her, Nancy, back to square one. At that moment, the picture was taken, and she said, back to square one. That photograph arrived the next day. This is how good she was, with the inscription, Tom, back to square one.
That's nice.
And we went on from there.
That's great. Talk about a little of what's on the table here. First of all, I'm a huge baseball fan. Yep. That is an incredible item.
Well, when the Giants were playing the A's in the World Series, we sent a crew out to find Joe DiMaggio, and we found him in his barbershop. And they explained to him what they wanted to do, and he said, is this for Tom Brokaw? I had never met him at that point. And they said, yes. And he said, you think he'd like a baseball from me? And so
is this a trick question?
A wonderful inscription from Joe DiMaggio. There are not very many of those around.
1989, Tom, you were there as the Berlin Wall came down, and you've got mementos of that as well.
Well, that was the highlight of my career in so many ways. And as they started to knock off pieces of the Berlin Wall, Ed Lee, one of our computer experts, started bringing them to me. So I brought back a bunch of them, and we'll see some of them here. I encased them, as you can see, in lucite, handed them out to some of my friends. And every time I look at them, I think about how symbolic they are about the end of communism.
And this here, not from the Berlin Wall, this is actually from the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City.
One of the great American tragedies. And John Hanson, who was the assistant fire commissioner, the spokesman there, brought that to me because I lived in Oklahoma City for so many days. And as a product of the Great Plains, I identified with what they were going through and wrote an essay about it. This is a notebook that I was interviewing Bill Gates. I've got his name circled there at a time when it was the beginning of the age that we're now living through. And I did a number of interviews with him, including an hour documentary.
Do you remember when you stopped using notebooks?
You know, I still use them. I'm still I did it even on election night. I wrote down things I want to make sure I have. I trust the digital piece of it, but at the same time, there's something that connects me to the ideas that I'm writing about.
Great, by the way, great picture of you and Nelson Mandela. 50 years at NBC. I've been a fan for all of them.
Well, you know, we've had friendships as well. That's the other part of it. The payout for me is not what I got to do. It's all the people who helped me through it, quite honestly, Matt. I mean, you know, you and I have the privilege of being out in front of the camera. We couldn't do it with all these folks that are here supporting us every day. Yeah. And I'm going to make an effort for all of them to get compensated as well as you do.
You're not doing so bad yourself, Mr. Brokaw. Congratulations, pal.
Thanks
what
a
a
lot.
pleasure. We're back with much more right after your local news.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.